rest of this life. And yeah, so let's see what Tongme Sampo has to say. But before I start, I would like to invite you into a meditation of arriving, of shifting from the doing to the being state. And then I also want to, in the second half of our quietly sitting, I want to bring up some points of the 9-point death meditation, so doing a bit of a contemplation or analytical meditation. Also, contemplating death is not supposed to scare us, but support us in setting the right priorities in our life, but also now in the present moment to enhance the aliveness of this moment, to make us awake and curious with a sense of wonderment, of aliveness. So I invite you to settle down into a posture, a Bodhisattva posture, taking your seat as the practitioner. Take your time to check in. And if you like, you can close your eyes. And allow your attention, your awareness to slide into the body. In a gentle, friendly way. And just notice the posture, the surface which is carrying you, the chair or the floor. See if you feel if your body wants to adjust a little in the hips, in the back, also your head. So that you are sitting with a gentleness, but also with a certain dignity. Then the breath comes to the foreground. For many of you, quite naturally, because that's what you do in meditation often, that you start with settling with the breath. So just allow the breath to come to the foreground, the flow of the in and out breath. And that supports you to settle in present moment awareness. Maybe you want to deepen the breath for a few minutes. And with the in-breath, sliding into the body and embracing, touching, holding what is. And then with the out-breath, there might be a bit of relief, a release. Going into vastness, into space. And then with the in-breath again, touching, as if you give yourself a big hug with awareness and in-breath. And then with the out-breath again, softening the belly, the shoulders, as if you are putting down a burden. And here we're putting down the burden of doing, putting down the burden of controlling, putting down the burden of this endless commentary to life. And allow thoughts to become less important. Kind of a radio station you lose interest in because it's just fake news. And instead you turn your curiosity, your presence to the present moment. And within breathing, we also reach out to each other because we are breathing together. We are breathing together in this virtual temple, which is protected by the presence of the Buddha, by the presence of the Dalai Lama, by the presence of our teachers. So by breathing together, we can enter this sacred space. I'm breathing, I'm alive. And not only there's the mystery of aliveness right now, we are safe within the Dharma. And we are safe with each other as a Sangha. So the invitation is to come to a place of wonderment about aliveness. So you feel the energies in your body. Some of them might be unpleasant, some of them might be pleasant. But it doesn't matter. There can still be a wonderment about the mystery of aliveness, of here-ness, of presence. That something is happening through you, that you are happening in this unique moment. One can come to a wonder, a sense of a wonderment that you don't want to miss even one breath. Of course, the fake news of the narrative self will come up with all kinds of stuff. That's fine. There's space for that. Just emphasize it less. And stay with what is real, and that is aliveness. You can hear, you have feelings, you can feel, taste, see, smell. And just be effortlessly present with that. And noticing the life-giving, nourishing aspect of the in-breath. It's like a gift of life you're receiving. And it's filling your whole body with life. It's like drinking the nectar of life. And then with the out breath, letting it all go. Then to enhance the preciousness of aliveness in present moment awareness, let's remember death. That death is certain. Not only the death of what you think you are, but also the death of your relationships, the death of the people you love, the death of your roles, the loss of your possessions, even the loss of your knowledge. So what happens if you remember death, the certainty of death? Can it support that sense of wonderment and that sense of tenderness towards aliveness? What a precious mystery this moment is. Sometimes it's enough just to be alive, just to be present. Nothing more is needed. Just let the in-breath fill your whole body with aliveness. To remember death, can really help us to be here in this moment. And how do you want to be here? Full of resistance and struggle, or full of wonderment and love and kindness? Stay in your whole body. Of course, there's some reflections probably happening, but stay more how it feels, the felt sense in the aliveness of your body. In your hands, in your legs, and particularly in the trunk of your body. Your death is certain, and the time of your death is uncertain. The time of your death is uncertain. In fact, it could be that this meditation, This being together, protected by the Dharma in the Sangha, is the last time in this life for you. Maybe this moment is one of the last moments where you can open to love, to loving awareness. Death is certain, and the time of your death is uncertain. What is important? When we deeply reflect what is really important, then many people, they come to something around love. Something around loving awareness. Something around compassionate presence. Can you be more loving with what is in this moment? Can you be more tender with yourself in this moment? Could you allow yourself to be more at peace in this moment? Bathing in the presence of the Buddhas. Actually, this moment is all there is. The past exists only in thought. The future exists only in thought. This is what is. And is there love here? And how can you be more in love? A little bit more in love. A little bit, wow, I'm in love. I don't know with what, but I'm in love. And it's a love which is pouring through you, but it's also pouring into you. In present moment awareness, we are always infinitely loved. So with the in-breath, breathing in love, and with the out-breath, sharing love. Death is certain and the time of death is uncertain. It's really important to love. And according to the Mahayana tradition, we all are that infinite source of compassion, of love and wisdom. We are that already. So just for a few more moments, sitting quietly with whatever it is for you. And then if you have your eyes closed, you open them. See if you can stay with the aftermath of this meditation. And since now we open our eyes, we can also have a moment of wonderment of seeing colors and shapes, movements. Sometimes we see the preciousness of these simple capacities when we start to lose them. And then if you look at the screen, then you see the most beautiful thing we can look at, and that's other people. And we're not going to figure it ever out what this is, seeing and where the seeing is. We can only experience it or dismiss it or not being aware that there is a constant extraordinary thing happening. Just ordinary seeing is an extraordinary thing. Yes, so if you have some comments or questions, you can just unmute yourself. There are not so many, or you can also write in the chat. Let's look at the text. So it's verse 4. And Tongme Sangpo writes, "You will separate from longtime friends and relatives. You will leave behind the wealth you worked to build up. The guest, your consciousness, will move from the in, your body. Give up your life." This is the practice of a bodhisattva. So give up your life. That's the battle cry of the bodhisattva. Give up your life. So as always, with these verses, I really invite you to, to feel into your own responses when you hear these sentences. Yeah. So not listening here only with your rational mind, but what happens if you hear you will separate from longtime friends and relatives? So what is your response to that? What are the people you really love? Yeah. And what happens if you contemplate the fact? It's a fact, it's nothing we need to believe. It's a fact that we will be separated from them. So either your loved one will die or you will die. So there will be this moment of separation. And it's so important in this contemplation that we are really taking the time to feel into this. What does it do with me? Not to jump too quickly into, yeah, but there is the deathless, and so on. But to really just, be human with it and allow the feelings to come up. And those feelings are never wrong. Sometimes when we think about losing a parent, for example, there might be relief. Sometimes when we think about losing someone, maybe when we think about our children, it seems to be the most impossible, almost as if we can't imagine to live on after that. It would be so devastating. So it's really important to give some time to that feelings and doing it. So we are not doing it like in a casual conversation here. We're doing it while having the seat as a practitioner in the Mahayana tradition. So, and with that, with being connected with these resources, being connected with that stability and dignity of that seat, we can maybe afford more to really allow these feelings to be, because there's space for them. Most people never dare to think about this. Most people try to live in a kind of, I don't know, childish, it will be all fine, or just not thinking about it, just ignoring it completely. And what we assume here is, by contemplating this and allowing these feelings, that this contemplation has a deep precious gem in it. something we might not know before we go deeply into that kind of contemplation, or some deep gift. And then, yeah, noticing these gifts for yourself. I imagine, for example, one gift, if you contemplate the certainty that you will be separated from your spouse, that could support you in being present while he or she is around. Really being there. Really with a sense of wonderment, with a sense of newness, with a beginner's mind. Not taking people for granted. But also that kind of that contemplation also might help us to respond differently to these moments. And this can happen at any time, where kind of your life from one moment to the next is, it's like completely, I mean, your house burns down, or things like that, which happen quite frequently to people. So contemplating this might help us to respond to a situation like this differently. I wouldn't say more relaxed, but there might be something we might bring from our seat as a practitioner into that kind of situation. Yeah, so the important thing is separating. You will separate from longtime friends and relatives. So within the container of a practice session, so you take refuge, you connect with bodhichitta, you call the lineage, you call your refuge field, and then you do that. Then you dare to approach this topic as deep as you can. So there's also no point to overwhelm you with feelings, but as deep as you can. So to feel the feelings as deeply as you can without being overwhelmed by them. And then listen to your insights. You will leave behind the wealth you work to build up. Yeah. So that's also, what is your response? To leave behind the wealth. What kind of wealth did you build up? And we could also talk about wealth of knowledge. And what kind of things did you build up and accumulate, which gives you a sense of security? And for me, it seems that when I observe that the God for a person is money, this is a pitiful thing. It's really sad. it's really sad that for in our times that money is like a god which is worshipped. Of course, I mean, money is an important thing, and it's energy. But to base your sense of self, your sense of that you made it in life, the sense of that your life has meaning, and that you're productive. I mean, that's really sad. We can imagine to waste many years of our life worshipping a god like that, and then leaving this life empty-handed. Because instead of being present, instead of cultivating the capacity of loving awareness, of compassionate presence, we were busy in bowing down to the god of wealth. Obviously, that doesn't mean as a Dharma practitioner we need to be poor, because it's all about motivation. It's about the intention. So you can very well be a wealthy person with the intention of bodhicitta. And since we are, at least I guess so, still confused about reality, still attached to a sense of me, we are all a bit narcissistic. So there will be always a bit of that kind of grasping and self-centeredness and self-importance. But to remember death can really help us to soften that, and this is really something one could do every day. Really deeply ask the question: what is important for me today? What is really important? Okay, I go to my job and then I get money for that. But what else is there? What else is there important in my office, in my relationship to customers, in my relationship to my family? What is really important there? Ken MacLeod, in his commentary, he says, do not base your life on what can be taken away from you. I think that's really one of the many powerful sentences in this book, because that helps us to become aware. So what do I base my life on? What is my refuge in different ways? So what is my refuge? And what could be there which can't be taken away from me? What would that be? What is that for me? And in the Mahayana teachings, that would be something like Buddha nature, or the nature of your mind. But what is it for you now, right now, in this period of your life? Is there something where you feel a sense of connection, a sense of safety, with something which can't be taken away from you? or do not base your life on what can be taken away from you: wealth, possessions, health, family, friends, fame, respect, even your own life. If you have the good fortune to have family, friends, wealth, or respect, savor them. Yeah, so that's also important. Savor them. So we are not saying here it will be taken away. It's impermanent. It's changing. Everything is changing moment by moment, and anything can happen at any time. So it doesn't matter. No, actually, this contemplation helps us to savor, yeah, to appreciate, to have a sense of wonderment for the flat we live in, for the bed we sleep in, for the shower we can take, for the food we have today, for the relationship we have, for the fact that we can see, smell, taste, for the fact that probably all of us, we can still move. So we savor them, knowing that they almost must, knowing that they all must come to an end. Yeah? So knowing that they are non-static, impermanent, adventitious, changing moment by moment, and finally will pass away, doesn't diminish their value. It enhances their presence. It enhances their preciousness. And it enhances the possibility to be awake for them, to be present for them. So the guest, your consciousness, will move from the in your body. So that's again starting by, so what are your responses to that? You know, so your guest. So here Dongme Sangpo distinguishes consciousness or mind and the body, saying it's not the same thing. So this is something really to contemplate deeply, and it's probably an ongoing process for you in this life to experientially, but also if you have interest in that, also philosophically, psychologically, to contemplate the topic of matter consciousness. What is this made of? This experience, what is it made of? What is the stuff? Yeah. Are you like a materialist? Yeah? Assuming that it's all matter. The primary substance of this moment is matter. And consciousness is like an emergent property from matter, maybe from the brain. And if the brain shuts down, then that's it. That's the end. Because somehow the brain is consciousness, or at least they are correlated, or yeah. So these are really good questions to contemplate, because this is not just some neuropsychological, philosophical investigation. It really is going to change your life, where you stand in that. It's really worth to look into it and to find your provisional position in this. The guest, your consciousness, will move from the in your body, can invite into a lot of discussions and a lot of dialogues between different views, even within the Tibetan, within the Buddhist tradition. Different traditions have different views on this. I like how Ken MacLeod finishes the commentary on this verse, and he says, what happens to the guest? Yeah, so what happens to the guest in your body, the in of the body? He says, no one knows. It's a mystery. I like that. Some people wouldn't like it because some people think they know, because it says in some scriptures, or so of course, then there's the bardo, 49 days, and then there's the next life, and karma, and they have it all figured out, you know. So they feel that their map, which they have received in the tradition, is the territory. The map is how it is. So I like if sometimes teachers, say, nobody knows. It's a mystery. There's of course, I still feel, and I can still teach the map of, reincarnation and how it works, and and I'm also doing prayers 49 days of someone deceased. So it's not that I kind of threw the map away and said, but there's also that nobody knows. It's a mystery. And it's difficult for us to stay with that, to relax with not knowing. I remember in the beginning when I started to get the first Lam-Rim teachings in Dharamsala, I was so happy because I thought, wow, someone has really figured this out. And it was like the first 2 years where I got to know more and more the map. It's so wonderful, and it's still the best map for me. But it is wholly sacred. It's wholly sacred nonsense in a way. Sweet. Yeah. Nonsense is a bit maybe, but it's I came to appreciating the mystery in it. I'm still using the map. So then give up your life. So that's the pith instruction here. Give up your life. And here, give up your life, of course, doesn't mean, resignate, or nothing matters, or you might even kill yourself. Doesn't. So give up your life is pointing to giving up a life which is not working. So giving up a relationship to aliveness, which is making you suffer, which is making you struggle. And when you give up that kind of life, or that relationship with life, so it's a relationship with present moment, because the present moment is all there is. So you give up to relate to the present moment in a way. So you relate to the present moment in a way which creates less struggle for you. So you give something up, so that's renunciation. You give up a confused way of living. And the confused way of living is wanting this moment to be what you think it should be, or rejecting the moment, this moment, for what it is. So that's suffering, that's samsara. Wanting this moment to be different than it is. And so that's renunciation, to give up that way of looking, that way of relating to what is happening. And then, but the renunciation also comes with a refuge. Yeah. So it's a turning away from, but it's also a turning towards a new kind of relationship with life, which is a new kind of relationship with the present moment. And that's refuge. So, is there any questions, comments, something you want to add? I don't know, it's there. Someone posted the first. Yes.
Thank you so much. I really resonated with when you said about relating to the present moment in a way that's less of a struggle for you. That's something I've been working on a lot in my life. And yeah, it can be challenging because I find that the narrative self does take over, and I can do the practices and I can feel so connected with loving awareness and this compassionate place, but then stuff happens and I lose it. And there's varying degrees of when I catch myself. Sometimes it's right away, sometimes it takes a while if it's a deep thing, a deep habit. And yeah, other than, practicing and waking up to the moment, to realizing what's happening, I was just curious if you had any other advice or words about that process of these moments when we get stuck and coming back, other than remembering, which I feel like is the main piece. And I just wanted to share that really resonated. So thank you.
How do you remember?
I feel how much I'm struggling. Like I feel the suffering that's happening.
Yeah.
And that feeling is painful, uncomfortable, and that's how I remember. I'm like, I'm really not in a peaceful place right now. I'm really not in a place where I feel okay with things as they are. Something's really like resistant to just accepting what is. So that's usually how it starts, is just kind of recognizing that I'm suffering. And then oftentimes the next step is which can be a hard step, is to stop ruminating over whatever it is I'm suffering about or struggling with in my mind.
Yeah.
because it's so catchy. I just want to keep like fight with it. Like it feels like the way is to fight with it sometimes, or that's my old way. And sometimes that will go on for a while, and then I'll realize that that's not working. And I know that coming into spaciousness, being in an environment of spaciousness and allowing things to dissolve and settle on their own is how I've been approaching it. Whether it's taking a walk, taking space, it's just about space, make a lot of space for whatever's happening, and then it really resolves itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of really helpful things in what you said. Thank you. And patience is maybe good. I mean, to kind of see that it's a journey. That's why we are practicing. And probably if you stay around teachings and teachers, and then you will probably increase the toolbox of different things you test. But it's wonderful that you already have some things in your toolbox which help you to go through a time of reactivity, of struggle, of suffering. Just a few reminders, spontaneously. What I found helpful is a kind of mini Tonglen, which is just the thought, I'm not alone with this. This is experienced right now. This struggle is experienced by countless others, or even making it more direct, like you keep it in your city, or even in your family, or so. And I think that's something you said, space, and that's right, like how to bring space into this. And this is one. So it is a kind of rational way. It's a thought. I'm not alone with this. And then even there could be quite naturally with that thought the thought of, and may I and all the others be free of this this kind of struggle. So that's a difference. The other another direction would be, which becomes more accessible as an experience when you have meditated more deeper on anatta, on no self. So if you have done that for a while and you really kind of rationally, intellectually have figured it out, and you start to have a bit of an experience, so you went into the analytical meditation, searching for the separate solid me and not finding it, then at one point it could give really some sense of relief and some sense of space by just asking, okay, I'm suffering. I mean, that's always the first step, of course. Oh, this is a difficult moment for me. I'm suffering, and I can feel it in my body. Where is it in my body? So that's where that's like the first thing, acknowledging suffering and breathing into it and feeling it, and also taking the time to feel it, not to jump into the methods too quickly. Yeah, because then you go into spiritual bypassing. You use some kind of tricks not to feel what it is to be human. So, and it needs to be a bit of a balance. Yeah, so not too long. And I'm not saying indulging in the suffering, but to also just feel your feelings, and that in itself is already often making a difference. Yeah, because in the moment where you say I'm suffering, the resistance to the fact that you are suffering diminishes, and with that, suffering decreases, because we add to the pain through our resistance to the pain. Yeah, and then there could be the question, but who is experiencing this? There's nobody there. Nobody is experiencing this. I can't find myself. And this can be really, I mean, it's not just like some idea, you know, you can really go deep with that, and then you feel that it's not even diminishing the intensity of the pain, but it's, I mean, yes, if there's a problem, that's difficult, but it becomes so difficult if it's my problem. Yeah, that increases the problem into something unbearable. Just this word "my," and if there's no I to be found, then the word "my" doesn't have any base. My or mine doesn't make sense. There's only the problem. And then the other, it's connected with that, is the question, what is aware? So that would be, you know, and that's what we do in our meditation practice, you know, particularly then if you go into Mahamudra practice, into the nature of mind or awareness of awareness practices. So we connect more deeply with that which is bigger than us, and here us meaning the little me, so that there is something available in each moment which is not touched by the movements. Yeah? We talked about that last time, like the stillness, the all-pervasive stillness, or the ground, you know, the ground awareness, and you can, and through more familiarity with that, you will find your being will find easier ways to slip to reconnect with that, and then looking from a more spacious source into the suffering. And I guess when you say like space is important, so you go out, you look at nature, you look at the sea. These activities, they work because there is already something in us. So we can use nature and the sky and the ocean as a bit of a symbol, as a bridge to something within us. Yeah, and then you also will find out that all this stuff, that there is not like one thing, this is like now the medicine and it will work forever. So this is not how it is. So it's like, you know, I don't know, maybe nobody really has figured it out, but it's like it seems to be an ongoing journey of failing also. You know, it could be that for many months or maybe even many years, you have a sense, wow, I'm really getting somewhere. You know, there's nobody here, and there's loving awareness, and I can feel it, and then boom, you know, something happens, and you feel like, shit, now I have done this for 20 years, and I still can have a crisis like that. Yeah, and then something else will be given to you by the Buddhas to even live through that. Yes, so thank you for your sharing. So maybe I would like to inspire you, or bring back the importance of the contemplation on death, possibly on a daily basis. Yeah? So those of you who have some sadhana or some prayers, probably there is the contemplation on death is in there. Yeah? So it's quite common to have, if you have a daily practice, that there's some poem or some line or something remembering that. I remember many years ago when I was a monk in Nalanda, we asked, who was it? One of these very old geishas, he was already 80 or something, maybe Geisha Tekshok. So we asked him, what kind of meditation is the most important one? Because there's so many. And then, full of confidence, he said, the contemplation of death. Yeah. So it's such a gift to allow this into your life. Also, many reasons for that, but one reason is because it makes you contemplate your priorities. Yeah, so what is really important in my life, and somehow we need to remind ourselves of this every day. We forget. We get so easily sucked up into the rat race, in the hamster wheel, just running around, not just wasting life, wasting this precious capacity in our heart. But also, the contemplating death brings in this question into our life. So, or the question: how can I prepare for my own death? What's my plan? Do I want my last words in this life? Oh shit! Yeah. Or it would be so beautiful if the last words in this life would be Dalai Lama or bodhichitta or something like that. Yeah? And that's something. That's something we can familiarize ourselves with certain things very deeply. It must be really deep and very simple. Yeah, you can't, because who knows how you're going to die. You might, maybe you have the fortune to know, and like you die from cancer and you have time and you can do the practices as long as you're able to do, and maybe some people can help you and things like that. That would be great, but maybe we die, some of us will die very quick. So that and to cultivate the intention and so that's where I wish my life, my mind, my heart will turn to at the time of death. And to cultivate a familiarity with that now. And you can even check up, because little deaths we experience. Yeah, death of people, of our grandparents, of our parents, health crisis, and so on. Then we can observe this mind, this being. We can observe him or her and see, hey, where is he taking refuge into? And is that actually a safe refuge? And how can I deepen my connection with the true refuge, with the safe refuge, with a safe direction? And connected with that is another important point. And this is really dear to my heart. And that is, by contemplating this and contemplating our own death, we also become more able to be present when people we love die. And there we can make a huge difference in our family. No, we could be the one who is not breaking down. And we can cultivate the intention, I want to be that person. And how can I be that person who is there, who is able to feel all feelings, our own feelings and the feelings around us, and who can bring loving awareness into whatever is happening in that situation, in that room. There, as a practitioners, we can really make a huge difference. I see that, you know, because I have been around some of the practitioners I met in my life, and also I noticed how much I could be present when my father died 6 years ago, and my mother is slowly dying. I mean, it's not coming up right now, but it's she has lung cancer, and I'm so grateful that that I have contemplated death, and you know, and have been so interested in this topic. You know, reading the material in the FPMT, and you know, the books of practices, you know, to know practices, and to what kind of practices you can do, and to find the practices you really love and which make sense. I mean, if your mother and your father is dying, or a good friend, it's too late to get the book from Amazon. You know what to do, what mantras to say. You have to know it now, and it's enough if you know just one practice. If it's Tonglen or Tara practice, or you know, just being present, loving presence, it doesn't matter. It needs to be genuine and your practice, and something which comes to you in a very tense and possibly overwhelming emotional situation. And it's going to happen. I mean, so love and grief, and love and losing people, they are twins. They come together. There is no love without grief. It goes together. But how can we relate to the experience of our own death and of the death of the people we love in the most beneficial way for everyone involved? And failing, of course. I mean, we can never be an expert in that. It's nothing we can, it's nothing to master. It's just bringing this topic, this contemplation, deep into your heart, and then trusting your presence.
Stephan, there was another question in the chat.
Okay, I didn't see that.
from Elizabeth. Let me scroll up. Can it be useful to reformulate an experience of suffering by saying there is some suffering in the heart, mind, foot, etc., instead of I am suffering, my heart hurts, my mind is deluded, my foot is killing me, and thus placing the mini-me in parentheses?
Yes, yes, thank you. That's one of the possible tools, possible kind of reframing, by just first just using the sentence, suffering is happening. And then, so it's very much connected with what I said about no self. But there's, it's something to try out. It's maybe not helpful for everyone, but there is something opening and relieving into saying, this is a difficult moment. There's suffering. And then just pausing. There's suffering happening. Then breathing into it. Maybe making the self-compassion mudra. You're putting your hand on the place in your body where you feel the suffering most intensely. And if you do that, it becomes more and more obvious that there is that there is something bigger also. Because when there is an intense overwhelm of suffering, your being becomes the shape of that suffering. It's like it's all there is. It's like the suffering in you are like one thing. Like your body has the shape of the suffering. But if you say, oh, there's suffering, and I can feel it, how it's this darkness in my belly, then you put it you put it into a bigger perspective. Then you can start to discover, there's suffering, but there's also something else. There's awareness, or if you can't go there, or you don't want to go there, there's other parts in my body which are quite okay, where there's aliveness. So you make the suffering smaller by putting it into a bigger container. So the suffering doesn't become smaller, but it becomes smaller because you put it into a bigger space. I just want to repeat what I said before. And it's also important to feel your feelings. So if you have a kind of maybe with some time you develop a bit of a protocol, like Teresa shared a bit her own protocol, like what she's doing and what she's trying. And what is very important to have as a part of the protocol is to have some time of feeling your feelings. Because otherwise, you probably do something like disassociation or, kind of trying to disregard the human experience and going into some transcendental space. So it's it's important to have that as a part of this kind of deconstruction of suffering. And at one point, of course, you could come to a place in your life where even like a big impact can be relieved or dissolved within a few hours, so that, or in an hour, or even half an hour. That's definitely possible. So maybe 10 years ago, if something like this would have happened, you would have struggled with it for a month or for 3 months, and then after some years, you start to see, wow, no, that's amazing. I'm still suffering, but only 2 days. Yes. So we share and dedicate the positive energy of this meeting into all directions. So may only goodness come from this. May the goodness of this session spread into the world, into our past also, into our future, to all directions. And that is possible because we are connected with everything. So this session is really a drop of bodhicitta into the ocean of bodhicitta, and it is inexhaustible, benefiting ourselves and the whole universe. Okay, thank you very much for your attention, for your presence, that you take this time. It's wonderful. And I see you tomorrow. It's possible.
Thank you, Stephan. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephan.
Yeah, bye.